Hey, how's it going?
Oh, very well, thanks. How are you?
Good. I am really awesome right now.
Awesome. That's great. I'm glad to hear it.
Yeah, just a really hot day here in Texas. So,
Nice.
yeah. So, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to join me.
Of course.
So, for those of y'all watching, hi, Harley Roxx from Louder Than Hell on Rock Rage Radio here with Morgan Lander from Kittie. How are we
Hello.
doing?
Pretty good. No complaints here.
Awesome, awesome. So I'm going to start off with the basics. So what made the four of you decide to want to start a band together?
Oh gosh, we're going back so far. I can barely even remember. Um, Honestly, I think, we were so young that we just would have thought we could do anything, really. No, nothing was telling us otherwise. No one was saying, oh, well, I mean, eventually, yes, they were saying, oh, you can't do that. But we just, wanted to have some fun, learn together. We were so young that, the gravity of what we were doing didn't really, um, sink in, or like the impact that, we would have had on people in the future. It just wasn't it wasn't something even in our minds at the time. We were just a bunch of friends that wanted to have fun and create some stuff. And yeah, that was really it. It was innocent enough.
That's awesome. Actually, speaking of like, having an influence on people, I can remember, so I had just moved back from the UK, and so we had a different kind of like what music people were into.
Hmm.
So I I discovered what Hot Topic was and walked in, and there y'all's CD was right there in the CD section. I remember listening to it and I'm like, these chicks are freaking rad. And ever since I listened to y'all, like I've been wanting to learn how to play bass like ever since then. I'm just like, y'all are awesome.
Thank you very much. Yeah, Hot Topic
So
was they were a big supporter of us back in the day. And it's funny that it's come full circle now as well, because here we are. They have new Kittie shirts in their stores, and they're actually there you go, see, and they're sponsoring the festival that we're playing in a couple, about a week actually here. So yeah,
yeah,
it's an
yeah,
interesting thing, right?
yeah. So talking about influences, who are some of your influences?
Oh, that's a hard question. I mean, I would say my influences have definitely changed over the years.
Hmm.
Like when we first started the band,
Hmm.
there was a lot, I would say a lot more sort of new metal. But before, I sort of was coming into my own as my own person. I was listening to a lot of like classic rock and stuff like that, things that my
Awesome.
parents were sort of into. And then sort of as, things progressed, we got a little older, maybe listening to a bit more extreme kinds of music. But like the early days, we were listening to things like, like the first Marilyn Manson album and Korn, the Deftones, Helmet, Faith No More stuff, like all kinds of different
Nice.
influences sort of all over. And yeah, so, humble beginnings, I guess. But from there, it just kind of, I don't really discriminate too much. I don't listen to country. I think that's about it.
Yeah, me either. Because I
Right?
also work for a classic rock station, so that's interesting that you'd bring up classic rock.
Yeah, yeah.
They have a lot of great beginnings for a lot of great bands.
Hmm.
One of my favorites would be Motley Crue for
Oh,
sure.
absolutely. Yeah, I've seen them. Uh, I think maybe a couple times. I've definitely seen them at least once. I remember that. It
Yeah.
was like sort of early to mid 2000s, maybe. I think when I saw
So
them.
that was probably Carnival of Sins, right?
Yeah,
Nice. I
yeah.
would have loved to catch that tour. Recently, I got to see the stadium tour.
Ooh,
For 12th row on Nikki Sixx's side.
ooh, very nice.
And although we didn't get one at the time, I have a dear friend of mine that sent me a Nikki Sixx pic.
Ooh.
I was like, it's great to have friends like that.
Yeah, absolutely. That would have been quite the experience, like being that close.
Oh, I know, it was for sure. I mean that show was awesome. We're talking about shows. So you guys are from Canada.
Mm-hmm.
because I'm half Canadian too. So, what's the music scene up there like compared to the States?
Well, that also a very big question. I mean, it's different because there are a lot of actual like laws here where the Canadian content is must be a percentage of radio and television, like music and stuff like that. So we actually really do encourage and influence Canadian artists and help to sort of push them in a way. So yeah, we have a lot of that like CRTC type rules that sort of govern how much Canadian content. So we do get a lot of like strictly Canadian stuff that never really trickles down into the States. But like when we were growing up, like throughout the 90s, I felt like the Canadian like rock scene was like happening. Like Much Music was still very much like, it still felt like attainable, and like I don't want to say cable access because it was very polished, but it was like a lot of the bands that were played were like bands that you could just go and see at your local club, and it sort of elevated them to this like larger status. But yeah, it always felt really, really like really small and kind of close knit and very accessible. And like locally where we started in London, we did have for a really long time a really great live music scene, and a lot of young bands. It seemed like everybody like had a band and was just like, let's just do it. And we had some really great little clubs to start in and to play in, and that's sort of where we got our start as well. And a lot of that has sort of changed, it seems like, over the years, especially locally. A lot of the clubs that used to have a lot of great bands and live music all of the time have closed. And that's really sad, but it's like there was a glory day at one time. It has long passed now, unfortunately. But I mean, it's weird because like Kittie in general never really fit into like that Canadian scene as well. Like when we came out, like a lot of our local newspapers and stuff like that never really took much notice, and then never like really supported us. We never really felt supported in our home country, and we went to the States and things got big, and then they hated us even more. And
oh no,
it was interesting. What a strange life. But yeah, so but then it's like, well, we never really felt like we fit in there either, like we weren't from like a mecca of like metal. Like we weren't from California or New York or Chicago or like a big place. We were just sort of from Ontario, Canada. And so yeah, we've kind of never really felt like we fit in, which was fine. It's kind of just been our thing the whole time, right?
Hell yeah. I mean, why fit in when you're born to stand out, right?
Exactly.
So yeah, a friend of mine who I believe is a friend of yours too, Miss Jamie Roberts, in the chat.
Oh right yeah. Oh really? Hi.
She's become a very good friend of mine.
Oh, she's lovely. Amazing person.
So she was asking, what's it like being an icon for female hard rockers? Because when you did it, no one else in the scene had yet.
Oh wow. Honestly, that title, it doesn't like sink in. It's a weird thing to think about. Especially because I don't know, maybe I'm just like, bitter and jaded from, a lot of the experiences I had in the past. But like for a really long time, there was a lot of resistance to what we were doing and to Kittie, and like, and the sort of dawn of like, the early days of like social media and the internet, like a lot of people had a lot of really awful things to say. And so it's interesting how time sort of distances yourself from those things and then changes people's minds. It's a really weird thing to come full circle and have people be very interested in the band again. And like, we, for instance, like one thing that kind of sticks out in my mind is like for the documentary stuff that we did. We went down to New York and we talked, to people, radio stations, Sirius XM, and like people saying, oh, like legend, like throwing the word legendary in front of the band name, just like what, like so it's a hard thing to sort of come to terms with, I guess. But I mean, I'll gladly accept it. It's just a weird thing to think about. But I'm grateful to still be here and still, you know, be able to continue that legacy, I guess.
That's awesome, though.
Yeah.
I mean, because like you said, y'all were such a young age, and you know, as Jamie so eloquently puts it, you kicked down the door for so many bands to kind of follow y'all to do that for the female fronted bands. You know, like there's a few I could name, but I mean,
Absolutely.
y'all kind of
Yeah.
paved the way for all of us to do that.
Yeah, well, I mean, I would never toot my own horn and be like, "Woo woo, we did," but you know, it's an honor to be included in that kind of pantheon of trailblazers. So
Yeah. So y'all had the reunion at Blue Ridge Rock Fest.
we sure
Let's talk
did.
about that because I know a lot of people were talking about it. I really wanted to be there, but you know, had to work. So, what was that like getting back on stage for the first time in
Oh, so
years?
long, right? Really nerve-wracking, to be honest. I was really nervous. It's funny though, as soon as like you step on stage, like there's like a thing that just, beep, and you just kind of go through the motions, and it feels like home again. But that the Blue Ridge show and also the shows that are coming up are sort of the culmination of like almost a full year of planning. So it's like it's almost a relief to finally get to do the thing that's like the whole point of it all. And I think a lot of people underestimate and also sort of overlook like all of the things that kind of go into like organizing a show, and especially somebody like us, like we are doing everything ourselves. Like we don't have a manager. We do have a booking agent, which is the booking agent that we've been with for forever, and whatnot. But yeah, all of the planning sort of, it's just like it builds up the nerves until finally then you get to get up on stage. But that was an incredible show, an incredible experience. I was blown away by the support. We had a great slot. The fans turned out like it felt right. It was really great. So
That's awesome.
yeah,
Because I saw a bunch of pictures. A buddy of mine who is in Fate Destroyed had posted about y'all playing. I was like, oh, I want to be there so bad. But speaking of that, are y'all planning any sort of upcoming tour that we can expect for 2023?
well, I'm not sure about like full-fledged tour. But there definitely are a lot more plans in the works for, more shows, maybe some, more material. I think, we like to try to do things like little project by little project, and this year was a great surprise and a great test. There's a number of shows that we have booked. And then I think perhaps next year we'll try to continue to do the same, and maybe think about some new material, just maybe trying to just see where it takes us. I think it's just really nice to have the like resurgence of interest, and like the fact that people are they love the band again, and like are still listening to the music. And I know there's a lot of people that just never stopped, right? But like it's a weird thing to like have 14-year-olds again be like, wow, I love your band. All over again, when they weren't even born when like Spit came out, that sort of thing, right? So it's like there's a lot of that happening now, and so it feels like now is a really great time to like just kind of slide in there and see what's up. So definitely expect more things. I wouldn't say like it will be a full-time job, but we definitely won't be going back into hiding or anything. So
awesome, that's cool. So, we discussed new music. So, y'all are playing the When We Were Young festival.
Sure are.
Super cool. I know a lot of us emos have been looking forward to that particular festival, especially, playing with names like My Chemical Romance, Paramore, and Avril Lavigne. What's that feeling like?
Well, I mean, for Kittie, I think we kind of stand out a little bit on the bill. It's because we're pretty, I'd say, like, comparatively speaking, we're pretty metal, but we do sort of fit into that time frame of things where they're sort of looking at with the nostalgia of all the bands and whatnot. And when we were young, the people that were putting together the festival were integral in sort of coaxing Kittie out of our, I guess, hiatus retirement type thing. They were really amazing, adamant about getting us, to do the show, put out, a lot of great offers and a lot of help and all that stuff. So yeah, like I'm really excited to see what the whole week will be about, because there are so many shows. There's the first weekend, the Saturday, Sunday, and then there's another show the next weekend. So we sort of get to have this whole experience of the whole week. And I'm really looking forward to it. A lot of bands I've never seen before that I would like to see. And we're just gonna, go and bring it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. So y'all have been on tour a lot over the years, I would go to assume.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So I would presume that y'all would probably have some pretty wild and crazy tour stories, yes?
Yes, I would, maybe, I guess. Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah.
Anyone in particular?
Gosh.
Out?
Oh man, no, I don't know. It always ends up as us just like a strip club or something. Like, what the hell?
Motley Crue fashion, right?
Barfing up blue ice cream, or I don't know, just like this wild stuff. Like a lot of some of the like the more fun stuff was like, Ozfest and like other bands like Pantera, like those guys were wild and just like like lots of drinking, partying with them, like shooting off fireworks like in the parking lot and just wild stuff like that. I don't know. Nothing that like, I mean, there's been a lot of wild stuff, but it's like nothing that really pops into the mind, but it's, I mean, it's definitely been a wild ride. You'd be amazed at how boring a lot of it can be, but at the same time, it's like, you just end up making your own fun. So a lot of it, definitely involves alcohol. I feel like I'm maybe a little bit past that now, but in our youth, it was a wild time.
Yeah. So also the documentary was released earlier this year. What was that like, putting that all together? Because I know you've had a change of band members since the beginning.
Yeah. Well, it was the documentary, actually, it's been out since, I think it came out in 2018. But it was really the culmination of like 4 years of work. It was a lot of going through the archives. Like, we had a lot of photos, a lot of videos, a lot of things that were like literally on like VHS, or like, cause like that's how old we are, that, needed to be digitized, all of these little tapes, all of the shows that we, backstage stuff, a lot of it from recording the first album, a lot of it from recording Oracle and Until the End, all of these, albums that it goes back, well over 25 years of like history. And so, first we had to catalog and do all of that stuff. And we had to fund it. We did a crowdfunding campaign. At one point, we didn't even have somebody to sort of put things together and direct it. So that was another task that we ended up, luckily, Trish, our former bass player, had gone to school with the director, Rob McCallum, and put us in touch with him. And that was sort of how things started to really snowball, as far as like coming to the end of like actually finishing it. And, of course, having to coordinate with, everyone that has been in the band or that's been integral to the band as well. Making sure that, everybody's getting heard, their interviews, reaching out and sort of even like making amends. It was a very cathartic experience as well, to reach out to people that you haven't talked to in a very long time and sort of, discuss your time in the band with them. And so I think, but overall it was a really great experience. I love how the documentary turned out. It does tell our story very well and sort of leaves things open-ended, because that's just the way that we are, right?
Awesome.
But yeah, if Kittie Origins Evolutions is available. It's on Tubi, it's on Prime. If anyone is interested to learn a little more about the band and just kind of hear it straight from the horse's mouth. And we also have the Live at the London Music Hall, which was the show that we did for the after party of the premiere of the show, of the documentary in London. And that was a monumental time as well, because, we had, the original lineup, all the girls from different eras playing different sets. And that was like a huge, huge undertaking as well to like coordinate everybody, but everybody played so well. It was a magical night, to be able to say, hey, like, we're all here to celebrate our time with the band and just, have a great time. So it was amazing. Yeah.
That's really cool. So, I just wanted to discuss style really quick. So y'all had a very unique style back when y'all first came out. If I remember correctly, we had like trip pants and
oh yeah, there was a lot of that. Some Jinkos and some other things. Yeah.
So do you think y'all will ever go back to that at some point, or?
Kind of I don't think so. No, I don't think so. I have a hard time with the big pants, but no, I think there's sort of a beauty to the eras of the band and whatnot. I think stylistically, especially when we first came out, it's funny, there was a lot of the new metal sort of culture with like this was even before Hot Topic. Like, we didn't have Hot Topic in Ontario until like 10 years ago. So, for us, it was like, I did a lot of thrifting. We did a lot of stuff at like, Value Village or Goodwill, and for us, like when we were buying like, like bell bottomy kind of pants or like, bigger kind of stuff, it was always like actual like vintage, like 70s stuff and whatnot, a lot of like vintage shirts and things like that. And then as things kind of progressed with that, we actually played with a few local bands who I personally would credit with influencing our style, because then, before we were sort of like, the new metal, like, like Jinko pants and kind of baggy stuff. And then things kind of morphed into like a mesh of that with like some glam elements and stuff, especially like the Brax video or whatever. And I'd say two bands probably influenced that. One of them was a band called Robin Black and the Intergalactic Rock Stars from Toronto. Actually, Robin is now a UFC fighter and commentator. I think he's pretty well known, but he used to front a glam rock band, and their style was like outrageous. And whenever we played with them, we were always just like, you have the best clothes. You guys are amazing. Aww. We love it. And so, there was a lot of sort of that influence there. And another local band from Toronto called Thule, and they were all girls. They had a male drummer actually, but those girls also had amazing style, and we're sort of like big sisters to us. And we definitely took a little bit of, a few pages from their book as well with style and whatnot. And Jenny V, actually, she has gone on to, she plays for Eagles of Death Metal, and also she's played for Courtney Love in the past. So like she's done really well for herself as well. A wonderful person. And it's funny that, she's, still at it, and so are we. And, it's all goes back to when we were so young. It was really interesting, like late 90s kind of style or whatever. So, but yeah, I mean, for me now, like tastes change, preferences change. I can never recapture who I was when I was 15 years old. And I think that to not evolve and grow and kind of change and mature would be weird for me. So I feel like who I am now, and like, my style it just feels comfortable for me. Right.
Yeah, definitely. And it's really cool actually seeing the whole style of like back when y'all first came out is actually coming around full circle again.
It totally is. Yeah. And people are paying like $300 for like Jinkos and stuff. It's wild.
Yeah. I have like 3 pairs of trip pants that I paid for. I was like,
yeah, especially if you want the vintage stuff, it's not cheap, right? Like it's wild. But I know, and like sometimes I'm like, oh, I should have just saved all that stuff. You know, why didn't I
Yeah.
say? I did save some choice things. Like I have a lot of stuff still, like from those early days, like, you know, brackish
Yeah.
outfit and all that stuff,
Oh, cool.
all those things. But yeah, maybe I should have held on a little bit more to that stuff. I definitely have the boots though. We'll never get rid of those.
Awesome. Awesome. So
The new rocks.
speaking of brackish though, that song is actually trending on TikTok.
I know
I've
it's
seen a lot of
it's
people
weird.
using that sound. I'm like, yes, back again.
It's
So,
really strange.
yeah.
Yeah, like I don't know. It's weird that how TikTok now like influences the music that people listen to and whatnot. But I mean, I'm glad that it's made its way there. And funny that you know, we were talking about like Hot Topic and all those things. Like
Mhm.
when Hot Topic reached out to us to put out some of the, you know, classic designs of Kittie, you know, I think it was because of that. They said, you know, like, you know, we see like Kittie is trending on TikTok, and I was like, I don't know. I mean, we have TikTok, but every once in a while, like, I mean, we post, but you never. It's weird. You never know like what people are going to actually like see or like
Oh yeah.
enjoy or whatever. Like sometimes you post something and nobody looks at it, and sometimes it's like 50,000 people do, and who knows, right?
Exactly.
But yeah, so that was kind of integral to like, you know, Hot Topic kind of coming back into the Kittie fold. And
Yeah.
you know, it was funny because, you know, when they had reached out, it was sort of like, hey, you know, we don't know if you know who we are, but you know, we're Hot Topic, we do this. And I was like, we
Oh,
like, of course, like we modeled for Hot Topic like 22 years ago. Like you can, they're very pixelated photos, but you can
yeah.
find them on the internet, you know, like we went to the headquarters, they, you know, styled us, we got to pick up out a bunch of clothes. And,
Oh,
you know, at the time when, you know, Spit had just been released, you know, they had
yeah.
our CDs in stores and like we had a great relationship. And it's just so funny how then the tide sort of, you know, turns, but then everything comes full circle. And here
Oh,
we are again, and you have a brand new Kittie shirt from Hot Topic, right?
yeah.
Yeah, it's
It's
amazing.
uh,
I love it.
the one with the witch on it. I love it.
Yeah, that's a really really awesome design. I was super proud of that one.
Yeah, because I remember I don't still have it because I think my mom kind of tossed all my stuff from high school out, but I had the Oracle shirt
Ooh,
from Hot
nice.
Topic. I was just like, man, I wish I had kept some of that stuff, and you know,
I know it's hard,
my
right?
mom,
Because you
it's
never
not
know.
just a phase, mom. Sheesh.
Yeah, it's not just a phase, right?
Okay, so I always throw a very, very random question,
Mhm.
and lately it has been Marvel or DC.
Oh, neither.
Really?
Yeah. Ooh. Yeah, no, I'm that person. I'm like, no, I don't know. I'm sorry. Um, so I don't know if that makes me cooler or less cool.
Oh no, you.
But yeah, no, I've never really been into superhero stuff.
Mhm.
I mean, like maybe like because Batman's kind of like goth, isn't he? Like
Yeah.
that's DC, right?
There you go.
So yeah, I guess, but like I don't know. I guess it
So would you
depends
go
on.
more for like horror movies then? Because I can
Yeah.
tell you
Yeah,
Hellraiser shirt
horror.
there.
Yeah, there you go. And yeah,
Ooh, maybe let's
horror
go with
action.
favorite horror movie then.
Well, it is the season, you know,
Yeah,
Halloween is coming. Um,
faster, faster than you know.
I know, hurry, hurry. I mean, every day's Halloween, let's be honest.
Yes.
But okay, so favorite horror movie is tough, but maybe I'll talk a little bit about some good Halloween ones. One of my favorite movies to watch on Halloween is Halloween 3, which is the one that everybody's like, well, Michael Myers isn't in it. That's not cool. And I'm like, well, but that's why it's cool. Um, it's such a funny movie. There's just so many aspects about it that I'm just like, what is going on? You know, masks that like melt little kids' heads. Like that's just hilarious.
Wow.
So yeah, Halloween 3, I'm going with that one as a favorite Halloween watch. But I'm curious to see like the new Halloween. I've heard that it
I
has come
know.
out, and I did watch the last one, and I'm curious to see how
Still
it
need to watch.
truly will end.
Ooh. Will it really end
I
though?
don't
Is
think
the
it
question.
will. They can't do that.
I know, right?
That guy will never die.
Going
Come
for
on
this
now.
long.
He's kind of like undead, isn't he? Like,
Yeah, that's what I always thought. I mean, unless they're
Yeah.
just like, I don't know, maybe Jamie Lee Curtis doesn't want to do it anymore. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe
We'll
that
see
will be
why
the end
not
of that
though, because it's such a
timeline.
big franchise, but
It is.
maybe turning it into, I mean, kind of like Rob Zombie did with going back in time and giving the backstory.
Yeah, or like
That's
doing a
cool.
reimagining, like kind of like how the new Hellraiser has sort of done that as
Yeah.
well. Instead of like sort of like going through that same timeline,
Mhm.
I think it could work.
Yeah.
I guess we'll see.
Yeah, it's kind of like, so my favorite horror movie series is the Scream series.
Nice.
So kind of how like with 4 and 5 and even the new one, yeah, they brought back the legendary characters, but it kind of jumped onto a new timeline, but still, kind of staying true with the old timeline.
Mhm. Yeah. Well, there's got to be some kind of a tie-in, right?
Yeah, definitely. Because I
Yeah.
believe it was all like children related to the original characters.
Yeah.
Which was
Yeah.
really cool. I was like,
Yeah.
awesome.
It seems like they kind of do that in a way to sort of tie the old and the new together. Like I watched that like the newest Ghostbusters one where it's like all the kids
Oh
of them or
yeah.
whatever, and I don't know. I thought it was cute. I liked it.
Aw.
Yeah.
Another one that I really like because I have this whole like streaming setup of like Trick or Treat.
Oh
Or
yeah,
I
that's
just like,
creepy.
yeah, 'cause it was interesting because I worked at Spirit last year and I got this one, and now they have this one. I'm
Oh,
like,
that one. Yeah, that's horrifying,
that's
but
so
also really cute.
But yeah, so y'all are all over social media. I do know that. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok.
We try our best, to keep up with let people know what's going on and whatnot. It's just us. Me
So,
with my phone.
is it at Official Kitty everywhere? So Facebook,
Uh,
Instagram, TikTok.
Sort of, I think. So for Instagram, it's at official Kitty. You can probably just search the band name Kitty on Facebook and find our official checkmarked verified page there. But it is actually the name of it is Kitty Page for
Okay.
Facebook. So yeah, that's our URL, facebook.com/Kitty Page. And TikTok is official Kitty as well. And Twitter is also official Kitty, I think. I don't really use Twitter that much. And for myself, it's just dial M for Morgan on Instagram. I have an official page on Facebook as well.
Cool.
And I don't have TikTok personally, but if you see a post, it's probably me.
But the band has one, so
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
awesome. Well, before I let you go, if I could just get you to say hi, I'm Morgan from Kitty, and you're listening to Rock Rage Radio.
All right. What's up, everyone? This is Morgan from Kitty, and you're listening and watching to Rock Rage Radio.
Awesome. Thank you so much. You have no idea how awesome this is for me.
Of course. Yeah, absolutely. This was fun.
But,
I'm really glad.
Yeah, but I definitely hope to see you guys in Houston for sure next year. So maybe we can try to plan that out and
absolutely. Who knows where the future will take us, right? I think it's definitely a possibility. Texas has always been great to us. We have a great fan base there, and we always have amazing shows. So I think it's well overdue.
Awesome. Well, we'll see you then, and we'll definitely keep in touch. Thank you again so much. You guys make sure you go follow Kitty. They're awesome. If you haven't heard of them, what's wrong with you? No, but seriously, go check them out. All of your music is on like Apple Music, Spotify, and all that. Yeah.
Yes, it is. You can check it out. Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music. It's there too. It's wherever you're listening, it's going to be there.
Well, there you go. Make sure you also go grab that Kitty shirt from Hot Topic. And thank you guys so much for tuning in, and stay tuned for more.
Thank you.